Please welcome SAME National President Sharon Kroc, Fellow SAME.
Y'all ready for this?
Y'all ready for this? It's my favorite part. I don't know, even the video in advance of this, it gets me all fired up. Now I'm excited. Now I gotta bring it down so you guys can all hear what I say. Well, welcome to the 2025 Joint Engineer Training Conference and Expo. I'm obviously a little thrilled to be here in Louisville for JETC. I know the last few weeks have been a whirlwind of planning and coordination to pull this event together. And we have a tremendous program for you, where you will be igniting ideas. Do you realize that we have our largest education program ever with over 80 sessions? Woohoo! Even in the face of challenges. Thank you. You all continue to step up to share the value with others. We have a new innovation pavilion, which includes the popular micro-session theater and a new cybersecurity demo area. Be sure to check it out. We also have over 70 government and military presenters, and that is phenomenal. We also have a large number of military and government who are here on their own dime and their own time. Thank you. What a tremendous, yes. That's a tremendous example of leadership and commitment to advancing the joint engineering community. Your participation is essential to our shared success. How about another round of applause for those service members and civilians who made it a personal priority to be here at JETC. Ooh. Our exhibit hall is the front line of where innovation, ideas, and partnership come together. I encourage all of you to spend time in there and meet with these businesses. Ask questions, start a conversation, let them share the value with you. Our engineering, design, and construction industry is being asked to increase efficiency, reduce costs, improve performance, and identify and integrate cutting-edge solutions. We are up to the challenge, and it starts with collaborating at events like JETC. Now let me call your attention to safety. Please be aware of the emergency exits, and if you need assistance, please locate SAME staff, a volunteer, or a member of the convention center. In the unlikely event of an evacuation, please listen to instructions. All right, we have an exciting program to kick off the week. We will get started with the graduation of our 6th Leader Development Program class, otherwise known as LDP. So many outstanding leaders have come through its ranks that are rising stars in our leadership at SAME and within their companies and agencies. Then we have a real treat with keynote speakers Chef Robert Irvine and retired Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force, Joe Bass. They are huge advocates for America's veterans. We look forward to their thoughts on leadership, resilience, and overcoming challenges. But first, as we always do, please rise for the presentation of the colors by the Honor Guard from the United States Coast Guard Sector, Ohio Valley, and the singing of the national anthem by Helen Kennedy. She's a 10-year-old fourth grader and the niece of the Kentuckiana Post president, Ben Stollerman. Color Guard, present the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the hope of the brave.
Phenomenal job. Wow, that was tremendous. Thank you, Helen. Phenomenal. And a reminder of what we are all here supporting. It is perhaps a coincidence, but no less noteworthy, that every year JETC is held during May, which is Military Appreciation Month. How about a round of applause for all of our veterans in the audience? Events like JETC are not possible without the incredible support of our sponsors and exhibitors. Thank you to all of these companies. And I want to extend a special thanks to our titanium sponsors for their support of this event and today's opening general session. We've asked a few of them to shed light on the importance of forums like JETC in igniting ideas to drive the industry forward. We'll hear their thoughts in the following video. Then we'll hear from other titanium sponsors tomorrow. Please roll the video.
At Pond, we value our engagement with the SAME community, and there's no better place to connect with our friends, partners, and clients than at JETC. The conference provides ample opportunity for catching up with people we've met before and for meeting people we will work with in the future. The in-person learning sessions allow our staff to directly interact with their peers in both private industry and the public sector, providing an environment for igniting new ideas.
At Page, we believe creativity fuels bold ideas and drives meaningful change. But innovation doesn't happen in a vacuum. It starts with curiosity, with a question, a challenge, and most importantly, with a conversation. JETC is an invitation to engage directly with federal agencies, industry experts, and emerging leaders to hear firsthand what challenges are being faced, to share insights, and to spark transformative thinking.
Probably one of the most important things that JETC provides is an opportunity to network. We really put a lot of focus on growing and developing our young talent. That's important to the Society of American Military Engineers, just like it's important to Jacobs. And we bring our young people in, we introduce them to leaders in the field, we introduce them to new ideas that are being delivered and executed all across the world.
Every year I leave these conferences with new ideas to advance Aptam's technical capabilities and enhance our client relationships. This year's Innovation Pavilion addresses the biggest drivers within our industry, including cybersecurity and operational technology, sustainable approaches for PFAS, and grid resilience.
At AECOM, we believe in the power of innovation. Each year, SAME events offer meaningful industry-government engagement and serve as valuable opportunities for our teams to connect, learn from each other, and ignite new ideas that drive solutions for today's most complex challenges. We're excited to be here, and we're proud to continue working with you to deliver a better world.
Thank you again to our titanium sponsors. It is fantastic to be here in Louisville for JETC. It was exactly 20 years ago that SAME held its national conference here in Louisville. While a lot has changed, some things remain the same. For our society, it's an enduring commitment to bring all of you together to help drive partnerships, deliver solutions, and develop people. Let's watch a video that highlights these 3 goals and their place in our new SAME strategic plan. Video, please.
The needs to secure our nation are always changing. As time rolls on, our challenges fade and new ones appear. But as America's national security requirements evolve, SAME evolves. Our 2030 SAME strategic plan contains 3 fundamental goals that will enable our society to continue delivering lasting value and impact. Each of these pillars, driving partnerships, delivering solutions, and developing people, is enabled and supported by the other 2. Importantly, they are not new priorities for SAME, but institutional to who we are, and tie in directly with efforts already underway at the local, regional, national, and international levels.
This is SAME at its core, building trust and understanding to enable progress when it matters most. While we look to 2030 and beyond, the progress we have made on strengthening industry-government engagement will only continue to enhance this vital role we play. As members build trust and understanding, they open opportunities to collaborate and work closely with each other, becoming solution factories that deliver thought leadership and technical answers in high demand. Our people underpin all that we do. SAME offers many opportunities for members seeking professional and personal development, from formal programs such as the Leader Development Program to mentoring at a summer camp, to continuing education at monthly post meetings or national events.
To ensure the achievement of these goals, SAME has set a new vision that aspires to elevate the focus of our efforts and broaden our geographic lens in our role as the trusted integrator within the engineering community. Our mission statement, to lead collaboration, speaks to the very reason for SAME's existence, bringing people together.
SAME is committed to fostering a sense of community. The 2030 SAME strategic plan includes measures to enhance networking and foster participation, while also addressing the importance of community, as we are dedicated to creating an environment where all members feel respected and included. All of us as members should be excited about the 2030 SAME strategic plan as we step out to write the next chapter of our history. We will be shaping what the society looks like in ways that 5, 10, even 20 years from now we can't imagine, but will ultimately define our future.
The simplicity and interdependence of our new strategic goals is a rallying cry that all of us can relate to as we create the next indelible elements of our society and leave it in good hands for those who will follow us.
Awesome. The new strategic plan really has been a major effort of mine and many of our members over the last 2 years. I'm thrilled and proud to see it officially in place across SAME since January. It is the plan's 3rd strategic focus, developing people, that I want to highlight today. And as I do, I'd ask you to think about the SAME Foundation and all the support it provides to developing people within our society, thanks to all the generous donors who contribute. Our camps every summer in partnership with the military are the absolute best example of helping inspire the next generation of STEM professionals. If you've ever been to one of the camps, you know what I mean. That's right. Our SAME posts are the proving ground for so many future leaders who get their start in leadership positions by saying yes, or maybe they've been voluntold for a committee or a post officer role. Many of us got our start that way. Our communities of interest are focused on bringing leading-edge content to webinars and events to help increase our standard of excellence. Our Leader Development Program is the best of its kind in giving future leaders the chance to learn and develop alongside their peers in a truly joint environment. LDP is entirely financially underwritten by the SAME Foundation. Since its inception in 2019, around 40% of the students have been military or government. The others have all come from member companies. If there's anyone who is sharing the value, it is these LDPers. I'd now like to introduce 3 members of this year's graduating class. They will spend a few minutes highlighting their year-long capstone projects to give you a full sense of the LDP experience. I think you'll agree that the future of our profession is in good hands. Please welcome Alyssa Augustine, Samantha Long, and Sam Barnett.
Good morning. My name is Sam Barnett, and I have the distinct privilege of representing the Texas region and the San Antonio Post as a member of the 2024-2025 SAME Leader Development Program. Before I begin, I would like to extend sincere appreciation to several individuals from our region whose mentorship and support brought me here today. Colonel Charlie Parham, sir, thank you for your guidance. You are the reason I joined SAME. Mr. Zach Payne and Colonel Eric Wilbur, thank you for your endorsement and vote of confidence to represent our region. And most importantly, Mr. Josh Graham, thank you for showing me how to lead and inspire others through meaningful service to this society. Founded in the aftermath of World War I, SAME was created to unite industry, government, and patriots in support of our nation's infrastructure and national defense. Today, our challenge has evolved, but our mission is more relevant than ever. Across the country, demand for resilient, secure infrastructure is rising rapidly. Yet nearly 90% of federal construction projects fall behind schedule or go over budget. That's not just inefficiency. It's a delayed hospital, an unfinished base, a warfighter waiting. We saw an opportunity to step in and create lasting change with our utilization, project implementation, capstone, better known as UPIC. Our project was a direct reflection of SAME's strategic plan built around three priorities: fostering collaboration between government and industry, strengthening national security infrastructure, and developing leaders for the nation. We asked, how can we advance this strategy in a way that is meaningful, measurable, and sustainable? Together with the Defense Acquisition University, we launched a three-part webinar series inside DAU's Con 2240V construction training framework, targeting blind spots in federal acquisition and delivery. We brought together leaders from USACE, NAVFAC, AFCEC, and the FBI as our panelists. Each session asked government to think differently, to trust industry earlier, to share risk more openly, and to lead with collaboration. And leaders listened. The next generation of our acquisition community listened. They didn't just attend, they engaged. They asked hard questions, and they co-created. Together, we addressed three critical issues. Number one, collaborative delivery and design build. How can we equip our acquisition community to better understand collaborative delivery methods and why that is so critical to project delivery? Partnering in the shrinking contractor base. How do we bring back small and disadvantaged businesses as mission-critical partners? How do we reverse the dangerous trend of a growing infrastructure portfolio and a shrinking number of qualified businesses to execute it? And finally, risk-sharing in contingency environments. How do we build trust in high-speed, high-stakes settings? How do we deliver projects in more austere and remote theaters of operation? This wasn't just a webinar series. It was foundation for cultural change. And why did it work? We didn't force change. We invited it. We aligned with DAU standards while introducing modern acquisition practices. And the result, broad stakeholder buy-in and a growing model for how SAME and DAU can shape the future of federal acquisition training. Behind the scenes, DAU vetted our speakers, provided after-action reviews, and a real-time feedback loop on curriculum improvement. We didn't just talk about collaboration, we built it. We didn't just teach leadership, we empowered it. One law of leadership has guided me throughout my journey. For a number of you in this room, I have had the privilege to share its message. It is from The Go-Giver, a book given to me by an industry mentor years ago with 5 important leadership principles, but one which has really stood out. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. That is the law of influence. But here at SAME, I would take it a step further. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you put the mission and the collective first. This project taught me to lead from the middle, not by pushing ideas, but by lifting others, by listening, by showing up consistently for the mission. And that is SAME's legacy. I'd like to take a moment to thank the people who have had a lasting impact on this initiative. Major General Funkhauser, sir, my mentor, thank you for your leadership and guidance professionally and personally. Our weekly chats have made a lasting impact on my life more than you know. Mr. Rob Biederman, thank you for helping us navigate the SAME ecosystem and continue to be a champion for our project. And to the construction and warfighter engineer communities of interest and steering committees and task forces, you are the reason this was possible. I'd like to particularly thank Ms. Angie Martinez, who 2 years ago volunteered me to be the Vice Chair of Communication for the COI, which is the catalyst of where we are today. And for those that know Angie, she has an incredible ability to volunteer you to be more active in this society and at the same time make you feel like you just won the lottery. Thanks, Angie. And to our partners in the federal government, USACE, NAVFAC, AFCEC, and the FBI, you didn't just validate the effort, you helped lead it. To the SAME Foundation and our generous donors, thank you. Your investment was not in a webinar, it was in a principle that through education, partnership, and service, we can lead better, build better, and serve better. As Mother Teresa said, I can do things you cannot, you can do things I cannot, and together we can do great things. Through SAME, we can change how our government builds and delivers mission-critical infrastructure. We can lead with trust. We can transform acquisition. The men and women in uniform, the warfighter, are counting on this change. Our brothers, our sisters, our sons, our daughters are counting on this change. We, in this society, have an incredible responsibility to foster that change. Let's get to work. Thank you.
Aloha. Good morning. My name is Alyssa Augustine. I am a program manager and oceanographer in Honolulu, Hawaii, working for Sea Engineering.
I am Samantha Long, a federal civilian coordinator with AECOM based in Arlington, Virginia.
I'd like to share a story with you this morning about math. I loved math in high school. I loved being able to trust it. I could always validate one solution. I was even a mathlete. But in college, I took calculus, and I started to feel lost. I was confusing, and I didn't know how to find the answers anymore. But in grad school, I had a professor of advanced engineering mathematics, and he had a way of teaching that taught me to fall in love with math again, so much so that I nearly ended up completing a math minor. Who here has been to Hawaii before? Well, if you haven't, we invite you to join us this September. We'll be hosting an Indo-Pacific Regional Summit, and you're all invited to join us. The SAME Leadership Development Program selects a cohort of aspiring leaders each year and gives them a tremendous year of learning about themselves, our teams, and our futures. It is funded by the SAME Foundation. The curriculum includes a thesis or capstone project, commonly referred to as a UPIC project, or a utilization project implementation capstone. The goal of the UPIC is to showcase the leadership skills that we are learning throughout the year and to advance the missions of SAME. Our project was the creation of a brand new STEM camp in Hawaii. At the end of the camp, we had the campers write thank you cards to our sponsors, recalling their favorite memories over the camp weekend. One camper, like me, had noted that over the camp weekend, she had found her love for math again.
In 2024, over 500 students applied to SAME National STEM Camps, of which 366 were sponsored through local posts, but only 270 camp slots. Our ambitious project was the inaugural SAME Honolulu Post STEM Camp on the North Shore of Oahu this past February at the Girl Scout facility built by the Innovative Readiness Training Team. The facility can accommodate up to 108 additional campers. The SAME Honolulu Post STEM Camp reached freshmen to seniors in high school through 3 days of STEM activities. These students were from different high schools across Oahu with an interest in STEM. The slideshow of photos is a sample of some of the activities, the campers, and our amazing camper mentors. Thank you to some of the mentors who are in the room this morning. Another photo on the screen is of the sponsors who donated their time, money, supplies, and resources to support the delivery of this camp. We thank you.
At the camp, we had 28 incredible volunteers. In LDP, we learned about knowing your team and read books to help us understand those concepts. Based on the book by retired General Stanley McChrystal, we utilized a team of teams approach to organize our 28 volunteers. We started with why, allowing them to take extreme ownership and be self-driven. One of our star volunteers was Lieutenant Maggie Martins. Lieutenant Martins approached me at the Pacific Industry Forum last fall with an interest in participating in the camp. We utilized her not only as support, but empowered her as the curriculum program lead, where she was able to shine with her leadership skills. After Samantha and I had evaluated the STEM Camp Curriculum Handbook and created a short list based on the resources we knew were at the facility, Lieutenant Martins finalized the curriculum. She led a team. She worked with the SAME Honolulu Post on the procurement of supplies and materials and delivering it to the camp. And she even created a brand new orienteering activity in the woods for the kids. Thank you to the National Leadership Team for providing us with coins to recognize Lieutenant Martins at the STEM camp. Thank you, Lieutenant Martins, and thank you to the SAME Honolulu Post. One of the most rewarding parts of the Leadership Development Program is that each of us students get paired with a mentor who is an SAME fellow. My mentor, retired Navy Captain Will Boudra, was there for me throughout the year with constant communication and regular check-ins, and has guided me on career and leadership decisions in my life. I am so grateful for him. The value of this relationship, the mentorship relationship that the program facilitates, enhances the program tremendously.
Thank you to Ed Chamberlain for your honest feedback this year and throughout the program. Personally, I have so much to learn about leadership, but learning is a lifelong journey. For members of LDP, we choose to better ourselves, to expand our horizons through reading, listening, and engaging with great leaders. We are a unique group of individuals who are humble enough to grow, to admit we need to grow, to be ambitious, motivated, and bold enough to find a way to continue learning. If you are interested in learning more about our STEM camp and how we did it, please join us on Wednesday afternoon for our session. With things like STEM camps, we can help the next generation to learn to love math again. May the new SAME LDP class continue the legacy of the best LDP class.
How inspiring is that? Yes, thank you. From future STEM stars in Hawaii to an IGE masterclass for acquisition professionals. Over the last 6 years, the LDP has grown into a premier leadership training for our society, and two groups have been at the forefront of that, the Leader Development COI and the SAME Foundation. I'd like to welcome the LDP Chair, Brandy Smith, and the President of the SAME Foundation, retired Air Force Major General and Kentucky's own, Tim Byers, as we congratulate the LDP graduates. Thank you.
Good morning, JETC. Thank you for having me here to recognize our 2024-2025 LDP class. As a graduate of this program in 2023 myself, it's an honor to be up here. I want to say another thanks I'm a little short. I want to say another thanks to the SAME Foundation and all the donors whose support is making a huge impact on the future of our profession and our country. If you have been a donor of the foundation or if you have never donated, please do consider making a contribution. Each of these amazing members is part of this program because of the foundation and your support. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce the 2024-2025 LDP graduates. Alyssa Augustine. Shirley Albritton. Now, Christopher Arts.
You're welcome.
Sam Barnett. Linnell Broad. Technical Sergeant Joshua Dane. Ava Gonzalez. Christina Jetty. Lieutenant Colonel Jack Johannes. Bobby Joe Lang. Samantha Long. Lieutenant Commander John Nerthen. Lieutenant Chibuzo Ozilebo. Ozzy. Zachary Pasica. Stephen Price. Amber Weber. Megan Windeconnect. Kyle Young. And we have one graduate who couldn't be with us today. Congratulations, Major Jesse Davis. Congratulations to the 2025 LDP graduates. I'd like to now recognize our next LDP class. They're getting started this week. Please stand up so we can all see you.
My congratulations once again to the LDP graduates. And again, thanks to our SAME Foundation and all the generous donors out there who are making it possible for this amazing leadership program to exist. Thank you. There it is. I'm now excited to welcome our 2025 JETC keynote speakers. First, a man who made his name in helping struggling restaurateurs turn their lives and businesses around, which he did over the course of 22 seasons and 300 episodes on the hit show Restaurant Impossible. When he's not doing that, he has dedicated his life to helping American warriors through his namesake foundation that has raised millions to buy mobility devices, train service dogs, and provide other crucial services to our veterans and first responders. And we are thrilled to have the 19th Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force and the first woman to become the highest senior enlisted leader in any military service. She's a unique trailblazer and role model to hundreds and thousands of men and women. She retired from the Air Force in March 2024 and continues to champion national security and policies that impact veterans and their families. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chef Robert Irvine and retired Air Force Chief Master Sergeant Joe Bass. They'll turn it on in a sec.
Oh, do we need to
he'll turn it on.
For you.
Ladies and welcome.
Nice smile. Nice smile. Good morning, SAME.
Oh.
Can y'all hear us? No.
I think this is, can you turn the house lights up a second? Who's on the board at the back? Turn the house lights up, right up. Everybody stand up, please.
Uh-oh.
Put your glasses, your cups, your coffee down. Put your hands in the air, do this. When I get to 3, and I'll say 3, you jump, scream, and shout. Ready? 1, 2, 3!
Woo!
Good test. Here we go. Hands in the air. 1, 2, 3! Now I think they're awake.
All right.
Okay, I have one quick alibi, y'all. Can I share it?
Yes,
okay, we're just going to take over. We didn't practice.
That's okay.
Hey, real quick, speaking of all of this leadership development and this next generation and why the things that you do matter, can I have Helen come up real quick?
Oh.
So y'all, this is that next generation who, by the way, Helen said that she does love math.
Yay!
She told me that she wants to be an actress when she grows up, and I said, that's great, but maybe that's gonna change here today. And so what I was sharing with her is, like, I would have been so nervous as a 10-year-old to sing in front of all of you all. I probably would have cold passed out. But Helen, thank you for coming here and opening up our event, and I'd be honored to give you my personal challenge coin. As a way of saying thank you for being an amazing kid, and we're counting on you to keep rocking it, okay? Awesome. Don't drop it because it'll be expensive for your parents. Okay, very good. Right here. Good. Y'all give her a hand clap. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, let's take a picture and show your coin. Awesome. Okay, good, good, good. Thank you, thank you.
Sure. All right. Our comfy chairs and everything. So, tell us a little bit more about you, Robert.
You?
No,
Me.
I was going to, all right.
No, ladies first.
Ladies first. I like it. Perfect.
Okay, very
Joe,
good.
tell us.
Joe Bass served in the United States Air Force. Air Force, where are you at? For 31 years. But retirement feels so good, y'all. Like, so had the privilege to serve for 31 years, but I am the daughter of an Army warrant officer. Who? No Army in here? Okay, very good.
There's only one. Army of one.
And I married an Army soldier, 82nd Airborne guy. He served for 27 years on his own right, so we are a full-on military family. And when I say serve, it was really an honor of a lifetime. I share with people that the United States military has given me way more than I can ever give it. And so we have two daughters, a 24-year-old and a 18-year-old. Y'all pray for us. And in this new chapter of life, you never take the uniform off. You still continue to serve, which is why I'm so encouraged to be here today with all of you all and see you all still serving for something that matters so much, which is national security. And so we'll talk more about that.
Thank you much. All right, we got ladies first.
I just make eggs. Listen, I was a Navy cook to start with Charles and Diana, Her Majesty the Queen, went into special operations for a short period of time. Came out, didn't want to shoot things, so I went back to cooking. 16, 18 companies, 8,200 employees around the world, and still doing actually the modernization of the feeding platform for the Joint Force right now.
So you pretty much don't have anything to do on a daily basis.
Well, I travel 345 days a year. We just came off a cruise, which was great, right?
Yeah.
So work for me, but drinking for her. So yeah, I think when we talk about leadership and we talk about the future and that beautiful young lady, this is a challenge. I'm in a challenge of your life. Those that are wearing uniform, you think of national security, I think of food. Well, food is national security, believe it or not, right? If an aircraft carrier goes to Gaza, or the Mediterranean, I still have to feed people and feed them safely in order for them to do their job. If I can't do that end-to-end sourcing, end-to-end feeding, that includes the ship's company, and 1,000 people get sick, we have a useless piece of metal in the ocean that doesn't do anything.
Yeah,
so,
that is really how we met. Because when I was serving as a Chief Master in the Air Force and I found out the good work that Robert was doing for the United States Army, you know, we're a little competitive with our branches, and I'm like, hold on, right? Like, I need you to come in here and teach us how we too can be focused on our most competitive advantage. By the way, we can talk about drones, we can talk about hardware and weapon systems, but the most precious weapon system we have is a United States service member, and so we've got to take care of them.
Yeah.
Wow. It's no joke because, yes, it's useless if there's nobody there to take care of it.
Yes.
So tell us a little more about your foundation.
The foundation was started in 2014. We'd been doing a lot with Garrison East, still do an awful lot with Garrison East. But he wanted to build homes for veterans, which was great at that time, of 18 years of war, and people needed that. I wanted to go more in the mental and physical space, the resiliency space being of food. So we started that foundation in 2014, I beg your pardon. And it does literally, if you're anywhere around the world, twice a week, we feed between 300 and 3,000 people somewhere obscure or somewhere on a ship or somewhere. We just came back from Tromsø, Norway with the Marines, 3 hours north of the Arctic Circle. Don't go there, it's too cold. Feeding Marines on a thing called Joint Operation Viking between the UK, the Americans, and the Norwegians. So we do a lot of things, wheelchairs, dogs. I mean, I could go into things, but the biggest programs that excite me are Reuniting the Brave, which we put groups of people back together. We just had 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, 750 of them in San Diego, 600 rescue swimmers. There's a movie out there if you want to check out on Amazon. It's called Hello High Seas. Yes, I made it. It's really good. It's about a veteran. The money goes to charity, so watch it. So we do an awful lot of things.
Yeah, we're getting ready to go on a 22-mile hike on behalf of some of our wounded warriors.
Yes, so on June the 3rd, we'll take 80 people from Team Irvine over to Scotland, thanks to American Airlines, and we will march 22, 38, or 54 miles with 1,000 coalition wounded to raise money for these coalitions that don't get the things that we get here in America. And yes, I am an American citizen for 22 years, so I pay taxes and I vote.
Yes.
So that's kind of exciting.
Yes. Yes, the retired folks are just doing the 22 miles. Very good.
Yeah.
Nice. How do you get hooked up with these situations, or it's fascinating. Like, how do you find the places to where you're needed?
I think it's people like Joe that are still very connected in the world. I'm in the Pentagon. I have a restaurant in the Pentagon, 2 restaurants in the Pentagon. I get to see some people. I get to hear where the needs are. But I get it really, because Joe's still very connected. We have a team of people that look for what is needed in our active duty and veteran community. Food stamps, right? Why are 1 in 4 of our active duty military foods insecure? The food that we pay for. I can go on about this forever. All you engineers that engineer ships or build ships, come and see me. Because we're living on, we talk about industry collaboration, which is really important because I come from an industry, a cruise line industry, that has built leaps and bounds and feed as many people as we do on an aircraft carrier, but 10 times more.
Right.
So why are we not using that technology? In fact, I just took the chiefs to look at this technology. When you try to feed 3,000 people on an aircraft carrier, 6,000 people on an aircraft carrier, and you have a 3-ring oven, right? A 3-tray oven, that's going to get me a long way, right? So, you know, innovation and armaments have changed, but we've started for the first time, and it started with Joe, about how do we take care of the people that use those F-22s, 35s, 47s, B-2s, whatever it is. We've got to take care of them in a better space. And technology in the food space has changed dramatically since you made mashed potatoes at home. You know, we don't do that anymore. We boil them in a bag and give you nutrients. So technology and partnerships with the industry are really, really important because the force is so archaic, in my belief. Yes, we've got new weapon systems, but look at where we are. And that's why this is such an amazing group of people, because you're the change leaders of the future. When somebody like me says, hey, why do you put a watertight door there? Which is great because you need it, otherwise you have the Titanic. But why do you put the lips inside of the watertight doors when I can't get a rack in there to feed people?
Right.
So it's really about technology and the partnerships.
Well, I was going to say, hearing partnerships and connections and relations, that's exactly, yes, what we're doing here. because sometimes people don't know what's missing, what part is, until they have that conversation and you find out and you're like, oh, I know somebody who can help you with that. So that's fabulous that you guys have together. All right. You mentioned your restaurant in the Pentagon. How did that happen? How did you get in there?
It's funny because as a TV personality, I wouldn't say celebrity because I hate that word. I got an opportunity to put a restaurant. By the way, it's supposed to be $500,000 and ended up at $2.6 million.
Ooh.
Way to go, government. You can't tie into this water or this pipe over there. You've got to go over there. I think I rebuilt the Pentagon.
We don't know anything about that with contracting.
I think I rebuilt the Pentagon. But it's been in there for 8 years. But we also have satellites. So that was the basis for the change and the modernization of the Joint Force Feeding, because we had senior leaders eating there every day. Then I would go on base visits for the last 14 years of every austere place you've been, and we served garbage. So then I would come back to the Pentagon and say, hey, what are we doing? So the Pentagon restaurant was really a proof of concept. Yeah, we make a little bit of money, we would give it all back.
Has anybody eaten there at Robert's restaurant? A few folks. I mean, it's amazing. And I think the few times I've eaten there, because I don't get a chance to eat a lot, I'm like, Robert, I'm spending all my money at your restaurant. Yeah. Very good.
Nice.
And I get that, by the way.
Yes. How about we host an SAME event there? Is that a possible? How many people can you fit in there?
Not this many.
Yeah.
Although we could rotate it. But
no, it could be a post event, a local event, a little smaller group of people.
We do big events in DC, Beats and Eats in Philadelphia, which is one of our big foundation events. Then Red, Wine, and Blues. Then the Army Navy Club, a golf tournament. So we do.
Well, I heard. Well, I'm from Philadelphia Post, is my home post, so we got to work on that later. And I know there's folks in here from DC Post, and all right, we got to work on that. I wanted to ask a little bit about any interesting lessons that you've learned from.
31 years of lessons.
Lessons on...
Well, I was going to say from the show or from leadership issues or...
Well, you'll go first.
All right. I mean, there's always lessons. I think I appreciated hearing one of the speakers already this morning talk about you're always learning, right? So one of my lessons or one of my principles is always to learn something every day. I'll share, though, maybe just, some nuggets for everybody in here that you all probably already apply. But I would say the battle rhythm that you have and the habits that you have mean so very much in every position that you're in. And so when I got into my position as a Chief Master in the Air Force, and these were principles that, I held on even before then, but I had to make sure that if 689,000 total force airmen are counting on me, then I've got to make sure that I'm my best. And I'm my best if I can make sure that I have habits and to some degree a routine that is helpful. And so my day would start off at about 4:30 or 5 with PT, because I thought that it was really important that, again, I'm modeling the behavior and what we need from all of our service members. And so you've got to feed your body. You've got to feed your body mentally, physically, spiritually, socially. And you've got to focus on learning. You've got to make sure that you are siloing yourself from distractions and from noise in a world that is full of noise and distractions. And so there's lots of lessons learned, but I would say that the first lesson is learning how to lead yourself so that yourself can be on point, so that you can do the things that you need to do, again, for your families, your community, your organizations that you're part of. So very true. I was going to say, I know a lot of folks in here that have inspired me because I find them out and about in the mornings before getting, sometimes it's hard to do that, but I agree, you gotta keep the routine to make it work for everybody else. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. Look, I come from a very poor background, I've lived under a bridge for 2 years. I know what hunger is. I know what poverty is. I think for me, lessons are when you see a TV show where you see me go in and be assertive, not mean, assertive, is that's the military training in you. You don't have time to mess about. Tell me what you need. Tell me what you've done wrong. Tell me what your vision is and let me fix it. And I think that's been my biggest leadership lesson is actually only recently, the last 5 years, is to listen. We lead, and especially those in the military or civilian. Look, I work with the top 20 Fortune 500 company CEOs, right? You may get bigger, you may be better, but you still have to understand that you have an autistic child. When you come into work and you're not performing the way you perform, I should know that. And I come to you and I say, what's going on?
Right.
That's called leadership. That's called empathetic leadership. And I think if you use that leadership, you create loyalty, because when I send you home and say, don't worry about work, take care of your family, you already become loyal because I'm taking care of you. And I think that's the biggest thing we do not have in this country right now is loyalty in any business.
Yeah.
I don't care how much money you pay them.
Right.
Unless you know them and get the best out of each individual. Some people like a pat on the back. Some people need money. Some people like to win a vacation. Or some people just want to be recognized and saying thank you. And I think those are the lessons that you lead. We talk about leading and learning every day. But I travel 345 days a year, 150 just with the military. So every place you think you've been to, we've been there 1,000 times too, right? Our job in those Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, where we just come back from the Arctic, we'll be going to Spain. My job is to pump those service members up. It's to feed them, it's to exercise them, it's to make them feel good about doing their job every day. Not only because we put a uniform on them, because we've given them the best technology, the best training, the best for them to do their job. And you can't hold anybody accountable if you don't give them the tools to do their job.
Right.
You can give a vision, you can give a direction, and then you have to let the soldier, meaning Air Force, figure out where they're going. And I think we don't do that enough as leaders. Give them enough rope to say them. It sounds terrible when I say this, but to hang himself. You get them just before they hang themselves, so that we can train them to see what's going to fail. Why? Because we've been in that situation before. Right. But I want you to learn the lesson to failure, but don't fail.
So we can't shelter them. We can't prevent them from failing, but let them learn on their own. And
you can fail once, but don't fail at the same thing twice. Right. Otherwise, what am I teaching you? I'm not a good boss then. So I think they're lessons I've learned. The biggest one being to listen more so in the last 5 years. Before I would go in and I would say, green, not good color on you, change it. We need to do this, this, this. And that's the way it was. Now I'll say, well, why are you wearing green? And you'll say, well, it's because it's my favorite color. And I'm like, well, it doesn't go with the room, or it doesn't do, whatever it is. But at least I've listened to you.
Flags, right?
At least I've listened to you to be able to communicate with you.
Right.
Sharon, one thing that I have learned since I've retired, even more so, is that leadership, and you alluded to this, Robert, is leadership is leadership is leadership. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. The other thing that I've very much realized more now that I'm retired than ever before is nobody develops leaders like the United States military. It's a fact. No organization in the world takes 100% of their workforce and puts them through a basic training or ROTC or some level of leadership training to teach them principles and competencies and values, and then continues to train as long as they choose to serve. No organization does that in the world. So y'all give a big hand clap to all our military and veterans. And to all of our military veterans, do not sell yourself short. As I've been retired, I've been able to spend time with corporate leaders from all across the ranks, C-suite leaders to all sorts of folks. Not all of them can lead. But again, this is where the leadership principles we teach our 18, 19, 20-year-olds come into play.
One thing really annoys me, so don't say this. Oh, I only served 3 years.
Yeah.
You put a uniform for 3 years. Yes. It drives me crazy, and I hear that all the time. And one of my biggest questions to people that are transitioning out the military, and believe me, we see a lot of them, what is your worth? Because in the military, you don't know your worth, right? You're in a system that puts you to wherever you go to. But on the outside world, that experience that you've just had is worth something, right? And I ask this to commanding generals, to admirals, to all the people I deal with on a daily basis. And I'm like, well, what are you worth today? CNO or acting CNO. What are you worth today? Oh, about $5,000. What? I'm worth $100,000 every day. Do I get it? No. But that's what I'm worth in taking a company from zero to hero. And that's what the leadership that you're taught in the military does for you. Look, I've been out of the military 30 plus years. I can show you some old pictures. I look really sexy. Not, by the way. But what I've learned in the military has allowed me to attain success in the companies and the people that I work with and for. So for me, it's that still collaboration, still people in the force, still people that have left, but maintaining a finger in the pulse of what's happening across the joint force, because we have to implement change. Because if you sit in a room, with a bunch of 30-year leaders, a bunch of 60-year leaders, now white hair and suits, and they don't want to change anything. And I can share that with every one of you because I've been there for the last 14 months. And by the way, I love it. I love a great fight. Anybody want to fight? I'm in. But you better know your stuff when you come to me, especially about food and supply chain, because that's the only thing I know. I don't know anything else.
You know a lot. Sharon, so I'm going to probably throw your folks off. Can we hear from the audience? Like, I'm actually curious if the audience has any questions. Are there microphones out there?
There are.
Okay, I know engineers don't like necessarily new stuff, but can we, I'm just joking. Are there, I want to throw it out to hear what's on the minds. I mean, they have Chef Robert Irvine here.
There are some, I can't say.
But can you say your name if you have a microphone? Because we can't see anything.
Yes, you're just illusions in the dark.
And don't be shy, because I saw some of y'all at the president's reception, and you had all kind of opinions. So,
and they'll let you know.
So now's the time to ask a question, or forever hold it.
I will say, as
one behind you.
As that comes up, here's what I'll say. As I read a little bit about the history on SAME, again, very encouraged of why this started off. But as you read the history of why SAME was established, I couldn't help but see the parallel of what is going on today.
Yes.
Do y'all sense that? Right, like if I can just share that, I joined our Air Force in the early 90s. How many of y'all were serving in the early 90s? A very different environment. We had almost double the size of our military in the early 90s, and we were primarily focused really in one AOR. And so if you fast forward to today, 2025, and you look at the challenges that we have, we're not short of challenges. In fact, in the early 90s when I came in, you had to, we had to be strong in 3 primary warfighting domains, air, land, and sea. Today, we've got to be good in air, land, sea, space, cyber, and information. And I would offer, if we lose in those last 3 warfighting domains, we lose, period. Yeah. And so here we are in this very interesting time where the folks here in this room, the work you do matters. I have no idea what I'm talking about, but okay, there.
Sounded good.
Yeah, thanks. This is Rick Kaiser. I want to say thanks to Robert and Joe for sharing your perspectives. You come from 2 different angles in a certain way, but I'd like to know what concerns you the most when you look at our future force and leadership. Joe, you just started to hit on challenges, but think about what you've witnessed over the last few years and where we might be going. What concerns you the most?
What concerns me the most is that we're not going to move fast enough. Change is challenging. Status quo is a thing. And the challenges that we have from a military standpoint will not be fixed through just military means. It will take a whole of nation, whole of society approach to get after the challenges that we have, especially in those 3 warfighting domains. And I get very concerned about that. By the way, I couldn't be more happier to see a Space Force flag here. Are there any Guardians in here?
There is.
Y'all give the one Guardian a hand clap. So,
woohoo!
And again, I'm talking to a room full of engineers. Y'all know this. But if we lose in space, and oh, by the way, Space Force is about to be 5 years old later this year, but if we lose in space, we lose, period. You can't put gas in your car. You can't get money out of an ATM. You can't call home if we lose in space. So y'all better buy that guy a drink. I am concerned that we're not going to move fast enough. I will speak for the United States Air Force only, where when I was in the seat, I spoke a lot about one of my favorite books, which is called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And I used to share with our airmen that, yes, the United States Air Force, most dominant air force in the entire world, but what got us here as an Air Force will not get us there if we don't change and if we don't move and if we don't modernize. So that is where we're going to need a whole of nation approach of collaboration with the folks in this room to get after that end state.
I think I'm next.
For me, I think you got to look back. I'm agreeing with you, but I think you got to look back to World War II, right? Not one, World War II, where Britain was an island and America came in to save it. How did that happen? Workforce in America, technology in America, and right after the Second World War came the brain drain, right? Everybody from all over the world that was smart came to America. They got paid a lot of money to do so. We have so many amazing people just in this room that can fight. And I say fight in the nicest way. I don't fight like that, but if I can make something better, and you have, it's up to me as a commander of a joint force to listen to the civilian world that can better outshine NASA, right? Or a food program, or an aircraft program. Because everything we seem to do on big companies, and this is the truth, it's not Robert Irvine saying it, it's we always fall behind, we can't get it done on time, and then we can't get it done, period. So then we come into a new era of from a 35 now to a 47, which is 4 years old already. 35 was 20 years old before we even put it into service, right? So you just said it's a collective effort, but we have to remove, and this is a government thing, we can't do it, we have to remove certain things in that supply chain to make it easier to get stuff done. I'm not saying remove all the checks, because that's stupid, but allow us to do things, and I say it took me 14 months in front of senators, legislative branch, DLAs, generals, I mean, you name it, to get to the point of transformation of 5 bases. I've already done 1, proven it. We can save this much money per and give better nutrition. And by the way, what you used to do, or those that are retired, used to sit around the table and join a meal. Now these kids sit in their barracks on their own, which does 2 things. I can't see how they're feeling getting through their divorce or their family life, and that's where we have problems. So for me, it's a change of every piece of the puzzle, not just food or supply or weapons, it's leadership. And leadership in Joe's time, and I can say this, because I'm young enough to say this, has changed. We could never go up to a chief master sergeant. I worked for a 2-star admiral. I worked for the Prince and Princess of Wales and King Charles. I couldn't go up and say, hey, Charlie, I think we need to change this. I mean, no, you don't do that. Nowadays, we have access to that, which we've never had before. And I think right now, other than, I know getting the loss of CQ, we have some really great leadership in the military space right now. And I think if you have, look, I'm in the drone business, I'm in the humanoid business, I'm in the food business, I'm in the people business, I'm in the clothing business. Why am I in those things? Because that's the future. We're never going to put, not in my lifetime or yours, we're never going to put, 100,000 soldiers into Afghanistan again. We'll never do that. We'd put dogs and humanoids and drones. That's the future of our military. It's going to become smaller, more compact, but more lethal based on those domains. Mm-hmm. So then you say, well, what's your job? Well, you can't feed machines eggs. No, but we've got oil. We'll do something with it.
Great, thank you.
Okay, we've got a couple questions.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody asked me about TikTok. Okay.
I'm sorry, I wasn't going to ask about TikTok, but Chief, you mentioned that people are the most important thing, and I watch what Special Forces does and how well they attack their mind, their body, their soul, everything. How do we take that and leverage that into the rest of our forces?
We just have to do it. That is exactly why Robert and I connected. We were at the airport in DCA, and he was telling me all about Sergeant Major of the Army Grinston and the work that they're doing in their DFACs. And I said, I need to bring you into ours, because what's interesting, and your point is absolutely true. If you go to our Special Warfare Wing out at Lackland, we are feeding those folks some great stuff, right? Like the Greek yogurt, plantain chips, like all the healthy stuff, and they have a very healthy dining facility. A mile down the road where you have our security forces defenders, the general population, we're kind of feeding just the normal crap, and that's not meant to be disrespectful if you're in the food space. But
yeah, it is.
But we're not feeding the rest of so we have to just do it. But I'm telling you, it is hard to change bureaucracy, right? Like, there's all the reasons why everybody wants to say no. We just have to stay persistent, and we just have to do it.
So I'll give you an exact answer. Number one, because I do SOCOM feeding, right? I get $500 for a SOCOM guy. I get $18 for a regular soldier. He can get whatever he wants. She can get whatever she wants. Why? It's the last meal. It could be the last meal. It may be the last meal. Their operational tempo is so fast now. They're gone for 6 months. They're home for 4 weeks. They do the debrief and all the rest, and they're back out again. So these things, by the way, our special operations guys have a thing called note meal, right? So on every dining facility, there's a barcode that they just click on and say, I can eat that because this is my makeup of my body and my operational needs. 70,000 people do that already. We will never do that in the regular military. Number one, it's too expensive. I took the senior leadership to Columbia University before all this stuff because I changed Columbia University 9 years ago, feeding platform. Middle of New York City, five years, 95% retention in that course. Why? Because the food's healthy, it's good, they can choose their food in the middle of central New York City. So if it works in New York City, it can work in Wilmington, North Carolina, or South Carolina. And we did that in Fort Jackson. So the change is happening, right? But if the chief says, I want to do 257 bases, guess what? It's not happening. Because it comes in increments of 5. And that 5, for me to do that 5, it took me a year to do 1. Just because the bureaucratic things, I had to remove DLA. They could buy my equipment, but they couldn't touch the food. Because the food was not to my expectations. We have dietary needs, 600 milligrams of sodium per kid, K through 12, or a military human being, however big you are, is 600 milligrams. But when you're purchasing 1,000 milligrams of sodium, then you get an idiot like me doing this. Oh, this is good. Then you wonder why you have $10.5 billion a year in obesity-driven disease in 1.4 million active duty men and women. We're doing it to ourselves because there's no RF when boxes come in, right? To say, go straight to the computer. Oh, you've got 600 milligrams. Oh, this is 1,200 milligrams of sodium. So it's systems and change in industry that are creating those change to give us a better warfighter. I've proven that just by taking blood from you for 30 days. Change your diet, take blood day 1, take blood day 30, 60, and 90. I proved my case. But it's change like that comes from Senate and legislative branch. It's not the chiefs and the senior listed. It's got to come because it costs money. And if you look at the budget that's about to be passed, there's another 100, well, we'll see about that, but there's another $163 billion added to the military infrastructure. So now we're over $1 trillion. Where does that come from? It's got to come from somewhere. And that's the problem. I go up and I scream and I shout and I pump my chest, and I've got people behind me that are all for it. But when you say to me a jet, I don't know how much does a jet cost? And you F-47, I don't know. But think of the people I can feed with that. If you give me $3 billion of that 10.4 or 10.2, I'll stop your crisis in a nanosecond. But it's training, it's education of people, because our joint force comes from around the world. Immigrants like me. We come from different backgrounds. We eat different things. But if you go to Afghanistan at any point in Afghanistan and where we were feeding them, I can tell you there's more candies, more Rippets, more Monster Energy than there was food. That's the culture the military has built up to get through itself.
I will say I enjoyed my Baskin Robbins every day in Afghanistan. So let's just keep that there. we have a question over here.
All right, I think this will have to be our last one.
I want to know the flavors.
Let her rip.
Hey, I'm Zach with WSP, graduating LDP, and thank you both for being here. I'm going to change it up a little bit here with this question. From a leadership perspective, I've had good leaders and bad leaders, currently under good leadership, and in the past, when I've had bad leadership.
That was a good save. That was a good save.
His boss is here. So.
General Semonite's here, so, he is a great leader. But in the past, I haven't had good leadership. And coming into good leadership, you bring baggage. And so when you're, as a leader, coming in and you know that some of the people that you're leading don't have good or haven't had good leadership in the past, how do you approach that when you want to fix what others have damaged?
Yeah. I think that's a fantastic question. I'll share with you that what I've learned after years and years is that oftentimes you learn more from your not so great leaders than you do from your great leaders, because you learn what not to do. So I will say that I've appreciated now, again, looking back at every supervisor that I had, every commander that I had, there's something you can take away from that to help shape your leadership as you move forward. I love grabbing a hold of folks who perhaps have not had great leadership. For me, it's a challenge. In fact, I always talk about my, when I was at 2nd Air Force, I was a command chief there, and I was interviewing for an exec, and I literally wanted to shut off during one of the interviews. I just wanted to turn it off after 2 minutes, because I was like, this is a fail. And this is what not to do when you're interviewing, right? But what I realized when I looked at the records was this was a fast-moving master sergeant, going up through the ranks. So I dug in a little deeper to find out, give me your history. And I learned they just didn't have great leadership. So I reached back out and I said, hey, I'm willing to bring you on, but I need to know that you have the attitude that you're willing to accept the feedback that you're going to get, because the feedback ultimately is going to help bring you on a path that you need to be on, because one day you're going to be a Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force, and I'd love to be part of that. And the answer was yes, and we had a chance to do that. So I would say that feedback often, feedback, whether it's positive or negative, is a gift. And so all of us need to be able to have that opportunity to take on those challenges.
By the way, we talked about this last night at dinner.
Yeah.
Because I've got one that I'm ready to cut off. And she's like, oh, give me 5 minutes with her. I can take her.
It didn't sound
This is a true
like
story. Not like that, but listen, to me, I'm always on a timeline. Whether it's somebody calling me for Korea from Japan at stupid hours of the morning, I've got to fix that problem, and I have people to answer to. So for me, it's like, look, we have 8,000 employees. Here's the mission, here's your direction, go and get it done. And if you can't get it done or you have a hard time, come back to me, I'll help you. But I'm not paying you all the money I'm paying you to wear that nice shirt and tie and jacket if you're not going to be able to do your job. So one thing we talked about last night, which I thought was really, and Joe and I are always on the same page 99% of the time, is we have the ability to pick out people that fit in our team that don't miss a beat because we're in such a fast-paced environment. It's the skill level of sitting across somebody and being able to pick through the scab, as it were, to get to the bone quickly. What would you do in this circumstance? How do you change? Do you have empathetic leadership? Are you authentic all the time? Are you up and down? Are you a bad leader? Are you... 5 minutes. I could know more about you in 5 minutes with 5 questions than your wife does of 20 years. And that's what I do on a show. I pick about people first, and then I look at their books. In 5 minutes of looking at your P&L of your company, and that's what I do for a living. Yes, I am on TV, but food. But I take care of big companies and look at line items. I'm like, okay, why do you do this? Who questions a sock center in Walmart? I do. Why? Because I've been trained to do that. When you lead, you set the expectations of your group of engineers or whatever your mission you're going after. You put a team lead in. And actually, by the way, it's always women that lead because men are way dumber than women.
Hear, hear.
Sorry. My mother tells me that, and my wife tells me that every day. So guys, I'm sorry. And there's those you see those leaders take the position of, okay, here's strategically how we're going to achieve our goal. Most people, right, they say, oh, we start here, we want to be there. No, I start there and I work my way back on the track to get there because, and we talked about this yesterday, companies want to see results immediately. I don't want to see that you're going to take 3 years to build a plane, and by the way, it's obsolete. I need it in the air working after a year. So, for me, it's time and temperance. I don't have time or temperance. I need to get it done now. So when somebody comes to me and says, oh, by the way, we need to feed 22,000 troops in Poland and 8 bases in 3 weeks from now, and there's no bases there, you figure it out. Because the soldiers, sailors, airmen are going to be there. And we've got to feed them, we've got to clothe them, we've got to give them water, we've got to give them all those kind of things of what I think about is good leadership. And again, giving the tools. It's no good me as a leader in the army, I wasn't in the army, but anyway, and I give you a rifle and 1 bullet and said, oh, by the way, go and take on the whole Japanese army, Chinese army, Russian army. You're going to get 1 shot off, you may kill somebody, but then you're going to beat 2 with the butt of your rifle, and then what? I failed as a leader giving you what you need to do your job effectively. And that's what the military does so well with its NCO Corps. That's why big companies are taking veterans, because they can think fast and problem solve fast. And I think that's what I look for.
Sharon's about to cut us off, but I think, do you have a question? Can we do one more question? Okay, good.
This is optional for you to answer. I'm
Oh.
Chuck Kubik, former commander of the Navy Seabees. And could each of you kind of conclude by talking about a personal failure and how you recovered?
Oh.
I got 1,000 of them.
In 2 minutes or less? Right.
You want me to go or you go?
There's a lot of them, right? I mean, what I've learned is the mindset that you have. And so I think about it as not necessarily failure, but that's a big fail. No.
That was a big phone call I just hung up on.
It's not about failure. It's about learning and recovering and the resilience that you gain from that failure. What I try not to do is fail at the big stuff, right? And that's oftentimes people-related, impacting somebody's career and their life, or even the failures of your personal life. So make sure that you don't fail at the big stuff, that you're not giving your family your leftovers, but y'all know what I'm saying. Yeah. I do have to talk about TikTok. Okay.
I'm intrigued. That was the Secretary of the Army, but go.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Hey, real quick, and this goes back to the question earlier on what are we most concerned with? I'm just going to throw this out there. There's tons of books and literature out there, and again, this group gets it, right? If you haven't read 100-Year Marathon, I would ask you to read it. If you haven't read A New Kind of War, I would ask you to read it. In fact, it was interesting. I gave General C.Q. Brown the book 100 or A New Kind of War because I was like, hey, sir, we have too many fighter pilots in today's Air Force. That's not very popular. I thought y'all might actually be happy about that. But anyway, but we've got to get after things. But the thing I'm most concerned about is the information environment. And oh, by the way, China is having its way with us in this information environment. You can just study and understand this. And what the information environment is doing is changing the way we look at social engineering. TikTok, by the way, we all know this in here, was created where?
China.
But we all don't know that the version of TikTok that is used and employed in America is very different than the TikTok version that is employed in China. And it's very different, oh, by the way, than the version that's employed in Russia. We need to know that. The version that is employed in China, has engineering things. It has, things that make folks want to be a good citizen. It has health, science, all those good things. The TikTok version that's employed in America is cat videos, dumb stuff, things to keep you scrolling. So they did a study of Chinese children and American children. What do you want to be when you grow up? No surprise. Chinese children want to be engineers and astronauts. What do American children, what do your children want to be?
Influencers.
So if you think about that, what does that do in 10 years from now or 15 years from now? So what am I concerned about? The aspects of social engineering, the information space, the divide that it is causing in our nation today, we've got to get a handle on it. This audience has to have a handle on it. So thanks for what you do.
Geez, how do I follow that?
Right?
Failure. Let me go failure first. Failure is, and I wrote a book called Overcoming Impossible. And it talks about L's, meaning losses, and W's, meaning wins. You can have all the losses you want, but one win wipes out the losses. And I started a hydration drink for athletes. It was great, 100,000 units run, cases run. Went in at $3.99. It should have went in at $2.99. I did a deal with Coca-Cola to buy me out because they wanted me to work with them. So I said, oh, I'll give up for this iced tea. This is a big giving for me, so you have to pay me this much. They paid me for a failure, but I came out on top.
Nice.
So, and I would close with this. I think for me, the change of our military is in the midst right now with the technologies and the planes and the trains and all these other things that are happening. And yeah, we are 10 years behind. I own a humanoid company. We're 10 years behind China on humanoids. And if you don't look at it, look at Boston Dynamics, look at Helix, look at all these PDW, all the things that I deal with, and look how far further they are in that. One thing they do not have that we have in this country is an NCO corps that is taught to lead without leaders. They're the leaders. No Russian, no Ukrainian, no British a little bit. I can say that. But nobody has the NCO corps that we have.
Yes.
And the training that we give out. And I think that sets us aside strategically of any missiles, any bombs, any trains. And we just need to hone in and foster on those teams. You want to get better as a leader, you have to spend time with your teams. And I was just with Boat Team 20 and SEAL Team 4 a couple of days ago before the cruise. 350 tight-knit guys that take care of 6 SEAL teams across the eastern seaboard, and then one on the west coast. And how they integrate their teams together, I've never seen anything like it in my life. They finish each other's sentences. And I think, whether that's good or bad, they know when they go into a mission, they know what this guy is thinking. And that's what we have to know as leaders. What are they thinking? Why do they think that? The communication skills, giving the tools. End of Robert Irvine's story.
Well, thank you both, and that brings our time to Robert, with Robert and Joe to a close. But I do want to let you know that Robert's going to be available in the exhibit hall after the session. He will have his book available, and he will be signing copies. But before we do anything else, earlier you had to stand up. We're going to stand up, and you practiced. Everybody's going to stand up, and I'm going to move over here because we're going to do the same thing for my usual selfie. Come on over here so we can get. I got to go right-handed.
So this time, look, you got to do this right.
I got to time it.
I'll get to 3. I'll say 1, 2,
chance.
3, and then you wave, and then she'll take it. Here we go.
All right, we got to try this again.
Ready?
All right, is everybody back there? All right.
2, 3.
Woohoo! All right, we can do better
terrible.
than that.
That was terrible.
That was my lead.
All right.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there it is. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you both.
Sharon.
Thank you very much. So yes, they will be available, and we have an awesome day and night ahead. My thanks again to our Titanium sponsors for sponsoring this session, and to our keynote speakers for sharing their time and insights with us. Congratulations again to the LDP graduates, and we look forward to seeing you in your leadership roles in the years to come across SAME and our federal AEC sector, hopefully in this position as Society President as well. Be sure to be back tomorrow morning for our second general session with the Chiefs and my handover to Mike Hufstetler. Have a great day and get out there and share the value.
Y'all ready for this?